Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk for a little bit because I was deciding whether or not I wanted to journal about this or just rant about it to someone or just find some sort of outlet because overall I would say I had a great day. There was just something at the end that kind of bothered me, and I'm not sure if it's just because I was looking for something to be bothered by or like it actually genuinely bothered me, but I feel like it's probably more likely the latter, and I'll tell you why. So, when I was walking to Whole Foods today, I was drinking tea, and it was a yogi tea bag, and anyone who drinks yogi tea knows that yogi tea always includes quotes, like insightful quotes on the little paper part of every single one of their tea bags. And they're not all different, like, there are definitely tons of repeats. But what I do like about it is that the quotes seem to kind of meet me where I am. They seem to find me at the right time, a lot of times. And then sometimes it's like totally irrelevant. But a lot of the times it feels like the quotes share with me something that I really needed to hear. And this quote said, "Embrace the challenge you are facing. It may just lead you to your greatest gift." I really needed to hear that because I was facing a challenge. Like I said, today started off great, but towards the end, there was something that it felt like a challenge, like an obstacle, but also a challenge because it's like, all right, what are you gonna do? You know, it was like asking me, like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna petition for what you want? Are you gonna push for what you want? Are you gonna try a different angle? Are you gonna jump over the hurdles? And are you gonna run through hoops? What are you gonna do? Or are you gonna reinvent the wheel? There are so many ways for us to go about getting the things that we want. And I'm not just talking about, fleeting desires. I'm talking about things that we know we want and things that we've known we've wanted for like a long time. So for me, this was one of those things. I had just wanted it for like a year, more than a year. And the reason I hadn't accomplished it was because I wasn't in the right place at the right time. And so today I was finally in the right place at the right time. And I pitched my idea, and I was met with ambiguity. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm part of an organization, and I was presenting them with an idea I had for a new initiative. And basically, they told me they would consider it. They were open to further dialogue about it and how they could possibly implement it and where it would fit within their current agenda. And it's not my organization, it's theirs, so obviously they get to call the shots at the end of the day. If I had my own organization, my own company, my own nonprofit, I would be able to just do what I wanted to do and not really have to answer to anyone. I would have the final say. But this is not my organization. I'm a part of it, and there are people who lead it, and I have to respect that. If I don't respect that, I'm basically insane because that's the reality of it. So I tried to be positive about this, and I think I reacted to it really well in the moment. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely open to further conversation about this. Like, see you tomorrow or whatever. And I didn't really have that much of a negative reaction to it in person, which I feel like I've been getting really good at that lately. Like, in the moment, I'll react completely appropriately, and I'll just say what I need to say and get out of there. And I was completely genuine. I wasn't like being fake nice or anything. But as soon as I got back to my room, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm really disappointed. I'm profoundly disappointed because I was hoping that they would welcome this new initiative with open arms. Obviously, I was only talking to one representative and no one else was in the room. I haven't really talked to the other members. Obviously, there's a room for opportunity here, and I think there's just so much room for possibility. But this felt like a small defeat in a series of events. And it's definitely towards like the beginning of the sequence. Like there's a lot of things that have yet to happen, have yet to unfold. So I really have no reason to be discouraged at all. But I am a very sensitive person. I remember crying when my cousin played the piano really well when I was little, and I was like 5 years old. And I was like, why am I not that good yet? And I had maybe been taking piano for like a year or less than a year, and he was like already amazing because he was like 12 or older. And a 5-year-old looking at a 12-year-old playing the piano, it's like looking at like a prodigy, and it's like, how are you this good? Like, it's not fair. I clearly don't have what it takes. And that's not the case. because you're getting so prematurely discouraged. How do you know you don't have what it takes? You haven't even like been playing as long as that person, you know? And I think, and I'm a writer, and in the world of writing, you have to deal with a lot of rejection, perhaps more rejection than exception, than green lights, than encouragement. Actually, people can encourage you, but it doesn't mean they're always going to publish you. Being published it's a mark of a combination of things. It's determination, it's raw grit, it's talent, it's you went about it the right way, you gained the respect of people, you were able to work with people, because in order to publish anything, you have to be a team player to some extent. You have to be able to work with people, negotiate with people, compromise with people, reach some sort of agreement, because they have to say yes. Same thing if you're the publisher. To publish anything, you have to be on good terms with the writer that you're publishing. So it goes both ways. It's like you can't really do anything alone, and I think that in itself can be discouraging sometimes, because it's like, well, why can't I just do it alone? But the truth is, I don't exist on the planet alone. I exist in a network of souls, which is a phrase I kind of came up with recently, because it's not just our physicality that connects us. There's obviously something more. There's obviously something beneath the surface. So I like to think of it as a network of souls, but that's just me. But I will say, I had a bunch of notes on what I wanted to talk about, and I just went off on a tangent completely. But rejection. I wanted to talk about rejection. It can come in so many forms. Academic rejection, social rejection, romantic rejection, even rejection of the self by the self. There are some times where we have to live in a body and we don't totally accept, or we don't feel it's totally accepted, and we internalize that. Rejection can exist in so many forms, and you have to become your own best friend if you want to get anywhere in life and be at any level of peace. And I want to talk about a recent trip I took to Yogaville. I got to meet with Swami Divyananda, who's one of the wise leaders there, who lives there and actually has counseling sessions with people who are there for teacher trainings and personal retreats and organized retreats, silent retreats. I host silent retreats. It's like really loud outside. It's so funny, it got really, really loud when I said silent retreats. That's actually hilarious. I think it's gone. It sounded like an airplane, honestly, but I think the airplane's gone. But anyway, back to the silent retreats. Yeah, so I talked to her, and she was just like, well, we talked about a lot of things. One of the things I wanted to get better at is letting go, specifically of things that the ego wants to hold on to. This is a metaphor I came up with earlier. When the ego wants to hold on to something, it's like a baby holding on to a knife. The baby is like, mine, this is mine now. The baby's not really aware of the harm that could result in them keeping a hold of the knife, but they want the knife because they somehow came upon it, they found it, finders keepers, it's theirs. It's theirs now. The parent can try to get it away from them, and perhaps that drives the baby to hold even tighter onto this knife, because they want to be able to decide what they do with the knife. They don't want the parent to be able to decide, even though in the great scheme of things it makes way more sense for the parent to decide. And that's kind of, I believe, similar to how we kind of have to submit ourselves to God because we don't know. And that's what I really like about the Yogi Tea quote: embrace the challenge you are facing. It may just lead you to your greatest gift. The baby might not understand why it has to give up the knife in the moment, but it will make sense in the long run. When that child is 8 years old, they'll be grateful that their parents didn't let them hurt themselves at that time, because then everything would have been different. So I think that's one of the things is humility. It's so important. Humility in success, humility in failure. Humility helps us navigate all of these experiences because it grounds us, it centers us, it aligns us with who we are and what matters, and it helps us not be obsessed and become attached to specific outcomes that are particularly attractive to the ego. The ego says, my way or the highway. It says, I want what I want, and I want it now. That's the ego. Now, the ego is not who you truly are, because the ego wants what it wants now, and who you are is constantly changing. In a minute, you might want something different. The ego is fleeting. The ego is self-centered. The ego is critical to survival, but it's important to not identify with the ego as if it's your entire being, because it's clearly not. And this was something I had to remind myself of, because I was like, if my initiative isn't accepted, am I upset because the initiative isn't accepted? Or am I upset because it was my initiative that wasn't accepted? And I don't want to be upset for the second reason. I don't want to be upset because I don't get what I want. Because I don't want to be upset because of that. Because maybe I don't know what's best. Maybe something better is coming. I know that in life, it's not my way or the highway. It's just not possible for it to be my way or the highway. Because in life, it's not my way or the highway. In life, it's reality. And it's reality. And to be able to accept reality, to be able to be present to reality, that's where I want to be. That's where I want to dwell. And that's what I believe is truly empowering. Because we face disappointments, and it makes us stronger, and it makes us the people that we were supposed to be. And one thing my mom said when she was going through hard times, she was saying, I refuse to let it make me bitter. Yeah, it would give me a run for my money. It would give me a tough time. It would turn my life upside down. But it's not going to make me bitter. It's going to transform me, but for the better. And I completely want to adopt that mindset, because I can't imagine getting stopped at every little roadblock. I'm never going to get anywhere like that. Greta Thunberg, a great climate activist, would get no sleep if she wasted an ounce of energy thinking about the people who criticize her, who say she has nothing valuable to say, who says that her initiatives are completely unfounded. Is she actually worried about, imagine, this girl, she says what she wants to say, and she says it well, and she says it in high places. Sometimes it's not received well. In fact, it's probably received well maybe only 50% of the time. But that doesn't stop her. And I think that's so interesting. She cares about her initiative more than she cares about just about anything in the world. And I know that because when she first found out about the climate crisis, she went on a hunger strike at a young age. So it's clear that this is maybe one of the most important things to her in this lifetime. That's very clear. This is not performative. This is not purely demonstrative. This is completely true all the way to the very core of her being. This is what she stands for. We can see that from a mile away because it's so true. So I had to think about that, and I had to be like, listen, there are always going to be haters. There's always going to be an opposition, and that's just life. And it doesn't mean you stop there. Like I was saying, writers have to deal with more rejection than they do acceptance and green lights and encouragement and unicorns and cotton candy and rainbows. And the life of a writer is not easy. We often only focus on the famous writers, and even at that, we focus on the famous writer's successful work. But that's maybe less than 25% of the story. So I think that's maybe why it's a path not a lot of people want to take, because it's very difficult and it requires a lot of inner strength. Not just cockiness, not just bravado, not just outward strength, but inner strength, because you actually have to know who you are, you have to know what you want, and you have to know that if you don't get it in a certain way at a certain moment, that you're ultimately going to get it, or you're going to get something better. You have to have faith. One of the things that I think is interesting about the time that we live in is we've almost become, this is actually something I heard from Sri Swami Satchidananda, and I think he talks about it in his book, The Golden Present. We've become too soft. We've become too soft with all of the modern conveniences that fill our daily lives, with technology, with all of our expectations coming true all of the time. As soon as something is challenging, it completely knocks us off our feet. We have to get used to challenges, opposition, roadblocks, uncertainty. And how do we get comfortable with these things? Because they're not comfortable. They're inherently uncomfortable. So how can we possibly become comfortable with these things? He says it's possible, but how is it possible? And I think Swami the other one, Swami Divyananda told me, going back to the baby with the knife, if you give them something different to hold on to, it's easier to get them to relinquish the knife. Say you give them an apple or a sweet potato or their favorite food, or you put them in front of a television show that they love and you divert their attention and they become engrossed. They become engaged in this new mode of stimulation. They will give up the knife way more easily than if you just said, give it to me now. And they were like, well, I was playing with it. What do you mean, give it to me now? It's like, you have to just replace it with something better. And that's not to say you don't have to face the fact that you're giving it up. Yeah, you're giving it up. You know you are. But you know that you're giving it up for something better, something more real. And that is humility. That's gratitude. That's what do you have going for you? And this was something I had to remind myself too. There are so many things going for me that this one little roadblock is way smaller. Like if there was a scale and all the things going for me were on this side and all the things not going for me, or that didn't quite work out for me, were on that side, this side would be way heavier. It'd be all the way down here. And this side would be all the way up here. If I'm looking at things subjectively, or if that's how I choose to look at it. Because I could choose to look at it the other way, but what good would that do me? It would be kind of not helpful. I think that would be particularly unhelpful. But also I think in reality, every day is a gift. The fact that I'm alive and breathing is a gift. The fact that the sun went up today and went down today is a gift. I can't act entitled to anything beyond what is currently being offered to me. And no matter how successful I get, no matter how far I go, no matter who I know, no matter who I become, I can never allow myself to become entitled or to adopt an attitude of entitlement, because that's completely short-sighted. I'm not God. I'm not the entire universe. I'm merely a member of the universe, and I'm entitled to things going my way just as anyone else is. I'm as entitled to things going my way just as much as anyone else is entitled to things going their way. And this is something I had to sternly remind myself of, because sometimes I can get caught up in, oh, well, I'm supposed to have this, or someone told me they'd give me that. And it's like, well, people don't always keep their promises. Things don't always go my way. And it's okay, and I'm sure you can tell I'm grappling with disappointment right now. But I believe it has a lot to teach me, and I think it wants to teach me a lot of the things that I just mentioned. And I'm sure that more things will be revealed in the coming days. But I do want to end on a positive note. I do want to end on a life-giving note. And I think, for the most part, today was a success. I had a lot of interesting classes. I met lots of cool, nice people. I got to go to things I wanted to go to. I got to participate in things, be a part of groups, be a part of communities. And that's really all I can ask for. And that's really all that I want. I want to make good things. I want to be a part of good things. And I want to add value. And I want to grow, and I want to learn, and I want all of these things, and it's all happening for me. As long as I put in the work, it's all happening for me. And that's just where I am right now. And I'm grateful for that. And when I'm grateful for that, and when I embrace that, it's easier for me to let go of the little disappointments and roadblocks of day to day. I have so much to look forward to. I'm going to see a movie with a friend this weekend. We're going to go see Bottoms. It's going to be hilarious. I'm sure we can all think of one thing we're looking forward to, and if we can't, then we should maybe come up with something that we're looking forward to. Another thing that keeps me afloat is having kind of a no-compromise self-care routine. Every day, except for Sunday, I have to go for a run, and I have to do yoga, and I have to meditate, and I have to gratitude journal. Because if I don't, I'm leaving things up to chance, and I don't want to leave my mental health up to chance. I also go to therapy. It's really helpful for me. I have a great therapist. We have a great relationship. That's another thing I'm grateful for. It's pretty well established. We've been meeting for over a year. I guess now it's been about a year. Yeah, we're coming up on a year. So much has changed in a year. which I'm incredibly grateful for. Things have gone better than I could have expected, honestly. And I can't lose sight of that just because one day, today, I decided to go pitch this thing and it didn't get an immediate yes. They said, we'll consider it, we'll talk about it. It's not really a no either. And they respect me and I respect them, and we can continue to work together on things in the future, and it doesn't have to be this particular project, but it might be this project. And the possibilities are endless. And so I just wanted to say, if you have something you want to do it. Absolutely do it. Don't worry about whether or not it will be accepted immediately. Just keep it going. Keep it going and try. Just try, because, yeah, I'm facing a little bit of disappointment right now. But I don't regret trying. I'm happy I tried. I'm actually quite happy I tried, and I got a lot of good feedback on it as well, and I think I do feel appreciated and I feel seen. And I think one of the things I'm looking forward to doing here on campus is getting to know other people and really seeing them as well, because it can't be a one-way street, it has to be a two-way street. So I think I will wrap up with that. I hope that this has given you some sense of hope, or I hope it has given me some sense of hope. I think it helped raise my spirits a bit. And it just gave me an opportunity to reflect. And anyone who tuned in, I'm grateful for you too. And I hope you're doing well. And I hope that things are working out for you, or you're working for the things you want. Because you deserve that. Because that seed wouldn't be planted in you by mistake. It's planted in you for a reason. And you just have to trust that it's planted in you for a reason. And you have to trust that reason. And the more you trust it, the more it will grow. And the more it grows, the more you'll be able to see it for what it is. And that is the advice I want to leave you with. I know this video was kind of intense, that I just had an intense afternoon, but I hope that it was, that at least one person sees this and maybe can relate, or maybe just feels a little bit better about themselves, because it's okay. It's okay to step back and take a breather every once in a while. It's okay to pause. It's okay to not win every time. Actually, no one wins every time. I know people talk about this all the time. David and Goliath. David won that one time. He literally ate with that one little thing. He was small. Nobody expected him to be able to slay Goliath. But he did slay Goliath. He won that one time and then went down in history for that. So all you need is one win, guys. Let's just try to get one win, okay? This week we want to get one win. And if we get one win, then we're going to be grateful, okay? I'll see you guys next time. Mwah!